Greetings, geeks and nerds. I'm Lady Universe and I'm White and Nerdy. And I think it's about time that I review this since I've actually wanted to for some time now. And I've been going back and forth about this idea where it's like it'd be a good idea, and then at the same time I'm like, but I don't know how many people would actually like this or if any of my viewers share any nostalgic connection to this. But we're gonna try it anyways, and this is the new Teen Titans Volume 1, which we're just gonna quickly go over it, kind of talk about the multiple stories that ended up happening in it, and also what actually happened when this book was released. But before we get into the comic itself, we gotta go back in time. We gotta go to the 1980s. And this story, which you might not believe, is actually true. Back during the 1980s, Marvel was being highly successful, pumping out the most basically energetic comic books. Probably the best example is Spider-Man. I believe at the time it was drawn by John Byrne, and also the X-Men written by Chris Claremont with art by John Byrne, which was being very successful at the time, plus also the Avengers and some other numerous titles. So Marvel would overrule DC, with DC at the time almost went bankrupt because of comic sales because Marvel was overtaking them. Sure, DC had famous books like Justice League, Superman, Batman, and so on, but they weren't doing so well in the sales. Or if they were, they weren't putting out the numbers that Marvel was across the street. So DC were trying to figure out something different to do. And thus, they got the idea behind two of the all-time greats in the comic book industry. They hooked them up together to create a series that would resurrect DC Comics. The first that they hired was legendary artist and also later becoming writer George Perez, who first got his major work at Marvel for drawing on the Avengers. If you want to talk about George Perez, you got to talk about the influence and art that he has had on the series, as his artwork is just so goddamn gorgeous to look at. As if it wasn't for George Perez's artwork, we probably wouldn't have the new Teen Titans or very other books in general, because George's artwork was just so inspirational, so inspiring, and just so goddamn gorgeous to look at. No wonder why he's a legend in the comic industry. Who would go on to team up with legendary writer Marv Wolfman. With the two of them would create something famous. But Marv Wolfman already created something famous because years prior he created Blade. So Marv Wolfman has a good taste in writing the great characters, but the two wanted to write for teenage characters, something that pretty much hasn't been done before. The Teen Titans did exist, but not in the way that they would on the pages of this comic series. And thus, comic book legend was born. As if it wasn't for the new Teen Titans, DC Comics would have been a disaster. Like I said, the Titans existed before. They only existed for a short time and wasn't a long running property at the time for DC Comics. I'm pretty sure that the old original books only lasted like about 50 to 60 issues, which is not really that much. Would you be surprised that kids would want to read a story about, well, kids at the time? But it didn't do so well. And it was until the X-Men came about and really redefined how basically young readers would view their aspect of the world. So the new Teen Titans were to be kicked in and pick up the slack. But I know what a bunch of you are thinking. But we've never seen the new Teen Titans. Are you sure? Because I can think of one property that is based off of this book that I'm pretty sure a lot of you have seen. Yes, this legendary Teen Titans animated series would not have been possible if it wasn't for the comic that had come out previously that made this team so successful and so popular. So without knowing about it, yes indeed, my fellow viewers, you did find your way to learn about the new Teen Titans just in a different way, and I didn't know about it until I started reading the new Teen Titans comics. And just to let people know, I've already talked about the Teen Titans animated series and the 20 years later and how it still holds up. And I also did my top 10 favorite episodes of them. So if you're interested, you can go to my channel and find them, which I believe that I did them basically last year. So it wouldn't be really that hard to exactly follow. But if you need a little bit of help, I will pin both the review and the top 10 in the comment down below in case if you want to go and, find those. But as such, let's take a look at the series that single handedly saved DC Comics from bankruptcy. Let's talk about and review the new Teen Titans Volume 1 and see just how George Perez and Marv Wolfman, being an awesome team that they were, pulled this series out from the fire. And also, I just want to say, really quick before I get into this review, thank you a lot, guys, for helping this channel kind of beat the YouTube algorithm because it's nice to see the views in the videos kind of go back to normal views, I guess I would say, or normal numbers where it would usually not be. So I guess that right now we are beating the YouTube algorithm, either that or YouTube fixed the algorithm, which I kind of don't believe. But in any in any sense, I just want to say a huge thank you to all of you guys for doing the best that you can to support this channel and keep it afloat. I guess while the YouTube algorithm is being all crazy fucking cuckoo. But with that all being said, let's take a look at the new Teen Titans Volume One, and let's take a look at the series or comic book that single-handedly saved DC Comics. By the way, we're taking a look at a trade here, and I'm going to be jumping through issue to issue. So, no looking at the covers, but they're all drawn by the great George Perez, and it's all gorgeous. So, what do you want from me? So, the Teen Titans actually began teaming up way before the new Teen Titans Volume 1 began. And in fact, they actually ended up joining together on the pages of the Teen Titans preview, which I forget what this was, that they ended up teaming up together. And in fact, yes, it was actually Raven that ended up pulling the team together, very similar to the episode of the Teen Titans animated series episode Go, where they kind of paid tribute to the origin of the Teen Titans. And also, if you'll notice, yes, Kid Flash is on the team, and so is Wonder Girl, but not in the animated series. And also, as indeed, as some people would probably like to point out, yes, Starfire is a Marv Wolfman and George Perez character, and she is one of the greatest creation characters for them, same as Raven, and also I believe Cyborg was as well too. Which is kind of great to see them kind of play around with multiple different characters that other people could relate to, which was kind of nice. And as you can see, the first issue was just an all-out action adventure, sort of like sci-fi war thing going on, which is nice at the time and would get issues selling. But the later issues would begin dealing with other things such as drama and tension, and also sometimes relationship. And also to point out to people, yes, even in the comic book, Starfire speaks Tamaranian, which no one else does, until she kisses Robin because that's how her species communicates with one another, and she can end up speaking English. Although by this point, I think that her hair is smothering Robin. Poor dude. He got the hair of doom. It's that Junji Ito hair manga all over again. But in the second issue, they ended up facing off not only against Slade, but also the worries of Trigon the Terrible, who was soon coming. But I think the reason why this theory was so special to a lot of people was that they could relate to the teenage characters, because it was probably likely that young adults or teenagers was reading this series, and not really children, which is great to have for a thing like this. And also, if you didn't believe me about Deathstroke, yep, there he is. If you're wondering who this is basically Ravager. Yeah, before Rose Wilson, it was the son of Slade. I just wanted to throw that out there to people to just throw away the confusion. But the new Teen Titans compared to some other series at the time was kind of going in the route of the X-Men, but even more different than the X-Men. But almost the same, if that makes sense, right? They're having the same adventures as the X-Men, like here they're facing off against the Fusion 5, kind of a reference to the Brotherhood of Mutants. And it's just so nice to actually see how this all plays out, and especially it's action packed, but yeah, it's also full of drama and everything, which is kind of relating to kids at the time being like, hey, you would probably be going through this as the team deals with their own drama, tension. They even get into multiple arguments throughout the entire series. There's just a bunch of things that ended up happening within the pages of this great comic book or graphic novel. There even is an issue in this comic book where they end up facing off against the Justice League. Yep, Dick Grayson and Bruce Wayne actually went round and round. Although they have the weirdest alternation of the Justice League. Batman, Wonder Woman, Zatanna, Green Lantern, Hal Jordan, Hawkman, and I don't know if you can see him, but on Hawkman's shoulders is Adam. Kind of like that weird Hanna-Barbera um, styled cartoon of the Justice League, but there you go. And also, they would end up facing off against Trigun the Terrible, which, if you know the series, yes, they ended up facing off against Trigun relatively shortly into their comic book span, which was something never team at the time. Within only the fourth and fifth and also sixth issues of New Teen Titans, they ended up facing off against Trigun the Terrible. They would talk about him, sure, throughout the series, but it was later on then when he was introduced and kind of made everybody go, oh my god, these kids are going up against basically the devil. And yeah, it was actually pretty interesting and also pretty intriguing to read, truthfully, of how Trigun made his debut appearance, very similar to Darkseid that Jack Kirby created years prior before this. And also, again, not to sound like a broken record, but have I mentioned George Perez's awesome artwork? I feel like I haven't touched upon it, as George Perez is one of the greatest comic book artists that can cram a lot into just a small space, and he does it so awesomely. As you can see how he just manages to pull everything off within such a short time period. And this guy is just legendary in his own right. And I got to say that I really do indeed like it, especially how they, created Starfire, which I already talked about the controversy behind Starfire, but it's actually pretty much very true that Starfire, yes, was basically supposed to be sold off as a sex slave, and then, was supposed to be used for, well, their own purposes, and that wasn't very good. But yes, I have to say that for George Perez, he drew Starfire to be quite the beautiful woman in this series, and actually pretty gosh darn attractive. Also, there's one funny bit I just want to talk about. This is not for children. After having a photography industry and also meeting Donna Troy's husband, who becomes a much more bigger player throughout the rest of the series, Starfire just happened to walk around, kind of looking up at the sky, thinking that Earth is a very nice place to live, and she gets changed into her outfit in front of this dude, who just happened to notice. Which, of course, yes, for Starfire, her skin had to be touching the sun in order for her to be more powerful and also gain the power of flight and everything, but this is just hysterical to me for some weird reason. I don't know why I just crack up every time I see this. And also, just to let you know, people, you get within this 8 issues, which is a pretty good thing, over 200 pages worth of reading material, and all in all, it's actually pretty damn decent and nice to read, and even for a book like this. If you haven't put it together by now, the new Teen Titans is a great series worth reading. I know I didn't go through everything in every single detail, but it is so damn nice to see how this great series basically inspired Gwen Murakami and the team to make Teen Titans the animated series. And I can definitely see the inspiration here. This is some gorgeous artwork with some great storytelling, as George Perez and Marv Wolfman are just a great team to have upon the pages of comic book history, and it also is intriguing to see how the series did basically single-handedly save DC Comics, and here I can definitely see how this series ended up doing so. And also, it is a great series. If you're a fan of X-Men, you'll also be a great, huge fan of of the new Teen Titans. It is a great and worthy read, and it's definitely worth your time and worth picking up if you can find this, or even the big omnibus or compendium. It is funny to think about when you talk about superhero material sometimes, especially for me that I always am learning new things about it. But it's great to know that this little series basically have single-handedly inspired this little television series. So it is great just to know that like something so small will be something so big. But this wasn't exactly that small. This was a big, huge comic book series that basically kicked off the return of not Marvel, DC comics as we would know it, and DC would become much more successful with doing the new Teen Titans, Justice League, Batman, Superman, and various other titles. That, in fact, because George Perez worked on the Avengers, I believe also X Men and other Marvel titles, that they wanted him, or he did actually, and you can track it down if you can, did a crossover with the new Teen Titans and the X Men. So if you're wondering how that turned out, I don't know. If I can ever track down a copy of it, I would definitely review it. But the new Teen Titans as it stands is a great comic book series worth checking out, and I deeply recommend it. I cannot tell you how much that my sister paid for this. I don't think it was $20. I think it might have been cheaper than that. But even still, at $20, look at how much that you get. This is a pretty good bang worth for your buck. And again, I don't know because my sister bought this for me back in Christmas of 2019. So I cannot tell you for the life of me how much that this cost. So yeah, can't do that. But yes, it is worth checking out just for the great artwork by George Perez, who is no longer with us, and also the great storytelling by Marv Wolfman. So it is a bit worth paying for your buck. And I can see why that you guys wanted me to review it, but if you guys were expecting me to kind of go down through every single issue in here, that would not be possible for me. I apologize because I have other things that I have to get done, and also other videos that I want to basically try to pump out as soon as possible. So I apologize. But if this intrigued you or interested you into checking out the series, I highly recommend that you do so. It is a great and wonderful worthy read. So thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Follow me at Twitter with a link in the description down below. And if you're a Teen Titans fan, let me know who your favorite Teen Titans member is. Mine is not only just Starfire, and no, it's not because that of her being basically sexy. She actually is a very good and well written character, truthfully. And if you want to know why, check out the George Perez and Mark Wolfman series. She is a great, well written character. But also the one that I relate to a lot more is Beast Boy, and I will ship the hell out of Beast Boy and Raven's relationship, and you cannot stop me. So for me, it's a tie between Beast Boy and Starfire, and I'm willing to see who your favorite Teen Titan member is, whether it comes from the comic book or the animated series. Let me know in the comments down below. But thank you guys so much for watching. I believe universe. I believe nerdy. Keep you on. Check out the new Teen Titans whenever that you can, like the volumes or even the big omnibus or compendium, whatever that it is. And thank you guys so much for watching. And until next time, check out Teen Titans. And also, no, it's not Titans Go. It's Titans Together, just to let people know. So until next time, gang, take care and Titans together, Titans forever.